Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Slow news day. Nothing to really talk about at all.
If only.
I don't know. We're gonna drudge through it, y'all. It's gonna be tough. Big show today. We got Mason Fleming producing. Louie's back there as well. Joan Jones in the newsroom. You guys on the phone lines and the text line 615-737-9986. We are live on Super Talk TV. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. Today on the show, joining me at 9:35, the one and only Jack Posobiec. Monica Page is going to join us live from the White House at 10:05, and then at 11 o'clock, we got Bo and Gabe. They're going to be in studio. They're going to join us for the lightning round as well towards the end of the show. We had a great time with that yesterday, and we're looking forward to doing that again and more frequently. But we begin today with what can only be described as Drake versus Kendrick for conservatives. And some of you aren't going to get the reference, and that's totally okay. Some of you will understand the reference, and it's a pretty good reference. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a solid reference. They're not like us. Drake versus Kendrick for conservatives. Now, for starters, let's point out some truths, okay? And we all know what we're talking about. Trump versus Elon, beef of the century. We got Elon. He's done a lot of great things, okay? There's nothing that we can say that is going to take away how much he helped us in 2024, how much he helped in that election, what he's done for America by buying Twitter, the help that he's done with Doge. We're grateful for Elon. I'm very grateful for Elon. I don't know if we win that election without him. I think we could have. I think RFK was a huge part of bringing a lot of those independents over to help us win as well. But you could absolutely make the argument that we don't win the election without Elon. 100%. We're lucky that Elon jumped in to help. Another truth that we can point out. The media hoax of Elon being co-president, well, that's I think that's officially dead. I think we can put a time of death on it. What time did the Epstein tweet come out? That's the official time of death for that media hoax. Love him or hate him, or agree with his policy or not, nobody can say that Donald Trump was paid or bought by Elon Musk any longer. The hoax is dead, okay? Another thing I think is important to point out is how lucky we are to be getting this done now, okay? This would be very different if this was happening 12 months from now, right? Like, we're blessed. We're blessed to be getting this out. We got, it's June of an off year. Midterm season starts heating up in, 6 months? And then a year from now, it's going to get real. So we're also, just highlight, we're lucky that this is happening now, okay? Cool. Got it? Because when it comes to the midterms, we're going to need to be all hands on deck. Like, we just will. Because we're going to have to deal with the Democrats, and we're going to need to be focused on unity. If we're not united, the conversation isn't going to be about spending bills anymore. The conversations are going to be about surviving impeachments. The conversation is going to be shut down fights on every single bill. It's going to be total chaos. This is good. It's good that we're getting this out of the way. So now I think it's important to begin. And I think that we have to start with the tweet. The tweet heard round the world. All right, you were paying attention yesterday, as everybody else was on Twitter. And to be honest with you, my first reaction when I saw the tweet was, well, damn. Well, damn. That escalated quickly, didn't it? Elon Musk on X yesterday. He said, time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Okay. So the Trump administration did respond to the Elon claim that Trump is covering up the Epstein files, because he's in them saying, this is an unfortunate episode from Elon, who is unhappy with the one big beautiful bill because it does not include the policies he wanted. The president is focused on passing the historic piece of legislation and making our country great again. That was Carolyn Levitt in the direct aftermath. Okay. So what does it mean if Elon's tweet is true? Okay. And I want to preface this with, I'm going to make the case that I don't think Donald Trump is in the Epstein list. I don't think he went to the island. But let's game plan this out. Okay. If it's true that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, that would, and you know what the implications are with the Epstein files, right? The implications would be that Donald Trump is a pedophile. So that's the implications. That's what everybody sees when they say, oh, he's in the Epstein files. So according to Elon Musk's own admission, Musk allegedly spent $250 million to help get a pedophile elected. Is that what we're supposed to believe? And then he became friends with that pedophile and visited the Oval Office multiple times for Doge-related events. He went with that pedophile to UFC events nonstop. They were hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. It was like me and my pedophile best friend. Is that what we're supposed to believe? He allowed his kids to spend time unsupervised around this individual who he's now implying is a pedophile. Okay. You get where I'm going with this? Then after all of that, where we're like, you're totally okay with this pedophile and getting him elected and all that, the line in the sand is the spending bill. That's the line in the sand. We're spending too much money, and now it's uncomfortable to be hanging out with this pedophile, as Elon is implying. Is that what we're supposed to believe? The spending bill, or even as the Trump team makes the argument, it's because of the EV mandates being removed. Either of those, that's the bridge too far for hanging out with a pedophile? Is that what we're supposed to believe? I don't buy it for a second. I don't. And then we're supposed to believe, if Elon's tweet is true, that it was the spending bill or the EV mandates that then led him to reveal this information that he knew about Trump. Are you following along at home? Does that make any sense to you? Does that do anything for Elon Musk? I mean, for this, if this narrative is true, the one that looks really bad in all of this would be Elon Musk. And I also want to preface this to say, I don't think Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. I don't think Donald Trump was going to the island and doing anything with minors. I don't. I just don't believe it. That being said, should any evidence come out that would prove otherwise, I'll be the first one to come on this radio station and eat crow and tell you I was wrong. Absolutely. And if Donald Trump was on the island, they should have the book thrown at him and he should be locked up. I just want to get that out of the way. But I don't think that it's true. If the evidence existed that Donald Trump was on Epstein Island or doing things with minors and implicating himself in the Epstein files for anything other than a plane ride, why hasn't anybody used that information yet? Why haven't the Democrats used it? Are we supposed to believe that they would have just sat on their hands? Is that what we're supposed to believe? And I see people online and they'll be like, well, yeah, but the information would also hurt the Democrats. The Democrats are also implicated. That's why they're not releasing it. It's the uniparty. But the damaging information to Trump could have been released without releasing the other stuff. You're telling me that these intelligence agencies who tried to get Donald Trump for a decade plus, these Democrats who went after Trump every which way from Sunday, couldn't have figured out a way to leak selective, damaging information from the Epstein files on just Trump? Doubt. Press X for doubt, personally. But why would they couldn't figure out how to do that in 10 years? Are we for real? Is that what we're supposed to believe? I mean, listen, the fact that Elon didn't put any evidence in his tweet and it was just a claim, it shows the absence of incriminating material on Trump in the Epstein files, right? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. And you can't just throw a dart out there and be like, oh, there it is, nailed it. It's not the case. So I don't think anything is going to come of this. I don't think that they're going to show any evidence that Donald Trump was on the island. I just don't. I think Elon is angry. And he's digging his heels in. And I think that's what we're looking at. And I do want to point out that a lot of people have spoken about this before. It was 10 years ago. This was like 10 years ago. talking to Bloomberg, Donald Trump had said that there's a lot of problems on that island. And Donald Trump specifically pointed out Prince Andrew. He was way ahead of the curve and on point.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it again. This was 10 years ago. Also, in was it 2009 when the original charges were coming up for Epstein? There was a defense. There was an attorney for a victim of Epstein, and he reached out to a lot of powerful people. And the only one that answered his call in relation to the case that he was working on was Donald J. Trump. This audio is old. This video is old, but it's important to hear. I've played it before, and I want to play it again.
Obviously, our current president has had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who have accused Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but are those claims of that case was dropped? It was dropped before it went to court. In your opinion, as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
And that was in 2009?
That was in 2009.
Weird. Listen, facts matter. Again, that was attorney Bradley Edwards. Spent a decade on the Jeffrey Epstein case, represented 70 victims. Said when he reached out to all these powerful people in 2009, the only one who picked up the phone was Donald J. Trump. He gave him good information. He gave him actionable information. Again, I have a hard time believing the tweet is accurate, that Trump is in the Epstein files. Okay. It's also a very loose statement. Like, what do you mean in the Epstein files? Like we saw some files leak out where Donald Trump was being asked about by different lawyers and different victims were asked about Donald Trump, but he was never implicated. So I don't know, man. Trump is really holding back as this goes on, and I wonder if we're going to see a lawsuit should a peace deal not be brokered. And I think Donald Trump has every right to sue Elon into oblivion, but maybe that's why his statement was so vague. He's in the files. No real accusations, no real information either. Want to know what you think about it? 615-737-9986. Feel free to pick up the phone, pick up the text, jump in the chat on our YouTube page. Just search for Super Talk 99.7 WTN on YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe. We want to talk to you about it. We're going to talk to Jack Posobiec about it, too, on the way at 9:35. A lot to get to today. This is the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, they know where he is. And now to capture that missing zebra, we've got an update for you. Also, President Trump is taking a victory lap over a measure of the economy that was out this morning, but he's doing it in a most unusual way. We've got those stories coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. What's going on with Elon and Trump? 615-737-9986. Your phone calls right now. Fred in the borough on Trump and Musk. What's up, Fred?
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. My question is, what do you think about if this argument and fight between Trump and Elon was kind of planned?
Yes. I love the question. It's the classic 4D chess theory, and a lot of people have been pushing the 4D chess theory. Thank you, Fred, for the call. There are a lot of people saying it. Does this news tell us that the billionaires are really just deploying fifth-generational warfare? Trump took Musk, a darling of the left, and then he utilized him for the conservatives, and then everybody got angry at him because of what Doge exposed. And now, since the left demonized Elon, Trump is starting a fake beef with him, so that way they're doing the whole wrestling kayfabe thing, so that way Musk turns on Trump, and then everybody comes back to him and wins him over. I mean, I guess there's some possibility out there that could be the case. I don't necessarily think that it's true, but a lot of the 4D chess guys online have been pushing it. They have been saying, a lot of other people have been saying that, the 4D chess is working. We now have Democrats calling for the release of the Epstein files. Then we have other individuals being like, oh my gosh, now this was 4D chess by Peter Thiel. And Elon's calling for the impeachment of Trump now because they want to get Vance in. And Vance is a Thiel guy, and Palantir and all the things. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of the 4D chess arguments. I don't know if there's any truth to them. And just judging by how they've been going at each other, I wouldn't lean towards 4D chess personally. Just me. Ron in Pleasant View. What's up, man?
Hey, Chris. I've never been a caller, but I would like to share, first of all, that I'm retired from the military, so I'm going to back up a few years on you.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you, brother. Hey, I was deployed to let's just say the European theater.
Okay.
All right, 22 years ago. And I was on a base where we were keeping NATO detainees. And one day I noticed that the NATO detainees were being led down to our dental facility to get their teeth worked on. So it got my curiosity going. I was like, hey, hold on a second here. I said, this is a NATO operation. And should the Americans be paying for the dental work for all these, let's just say really bad guys, a lot of bad guys.
Okay.
And so I started digging into it. And, of course, this is supposed to be a NATO operation. And I'm only sharing this stuff with you to get to some other stuff here in a minute. But it ended up being some oversight that all the other NATO countries were supposed to be chipping in on this detention facility where the Americans were paying for everything.
Yep, and then they weren't kicking in.
They weren't kicking in. So it ended up being millions of dollars, okay?
Yep.
You got to understand, I'm in the middle of my military career, Chris, okay? So I'm not trying to make a bunch of waves, but, hey, if my country's getting ripped off, hey, I'm going to expose it, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, they were fleecing us. So I noticed something else. That was a lot larger than what I originally worked on. And I'm going to tell you what, they started slamming that. First of all, with that other project, they flew me to Europe, had me brief all the colonels, our command sergeant majors, everyone that was somebody in the European theater. And, of course, hey, great work, let's see what else you can do. And then I come up with the next big one, Chris.
Okay.
And I'm talking about big one. We're talking about America being fleeced. And I'll tell you what, to this day, I really don't know if they ever even got reimbursement or any kind of I don't want to go too knee-deep into that, but they did an article on me in Stars and Stripes, which is not really important, but it does document it. And here's the thing, is that what Elon did is just the tip of the iceberg. Really, what folks really don't know. If they really got into this with a forensic kind of audit kind of situation, which I haven't really heard of a whole lot about, I mean, there is so much more, Chris, that our country is getting ripped off for. But the moment you start kicking in doors, all of a sudden you are that big turd in the punch bowl, and nobody wants to talk to you.
So you're saying that this is essentially what happened to Elon Musk here?
I'm saying that. Yeah, well, partially when they were saying that everyone was going to President Trump and saying, "Hey, look, he's really hacking everyone off," and they were berating him with phone call after phone call after phone call. Well, you know what? It almost sounds like that 4D chess. What you guys? Yeah, 4D chess. I mean, of course, I haven't talked about that in a while, but now that you bring it up, it does sound a little strange. But here's the thing, Chris, is that at me being a soldier and bringing that up and exposing certain things, and it's our job to do that. I mean, they had a program called the Army Incentives and Ideas Program where, hey, if you found out there was fraud, if you found out there was something funky going on and you could prove it, well, guess what? You could get a little chunk of that. I mean, people can Google this stuff all day long. So it incentivized folks to, hey, I guess be a whistleblower in a sense.
I hear you.
But at the same time, there was an incentive behind it. I didn't need an incentive, okay?
All right.
I got the article.
Hey, Ron, I'm going to look up the article, man, and I appreciate the call, but we're up against it. It's 9:32 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A zebra update for you. Ed, as he's now called, has been spotted in a wooded area near Interstate 24 in Christiana. This reporter on Channel 5 says that Ed was seen from the cameras that were mounted on their helicopter yesterday.
Professional trackers are out there right now. This morning, they think they've got him in a position perhaps where they can get him. He's sure to be hungry and thirsty, even though I think, he's got water and grass out there, but they hope to bait him into an enclosure where he'll be captured.
And they say Ed, who was formerly named Zeke by his owners, but they say it's Ed now because so many people on the internet call him Ed. They said that Ed looks healthy and they are hopeful. TBI has now joined in the search for a missing elderly man from Louisiana. 89-year-old Sidney Dent's car was seen driving through Tennessee just yesterday. Here's Channel 4's Amanda Hara.
He was last seen driving a 2003 gold Mercedes E-Class with Louisiana plates. If you see Dent or his car, call police.
And President Trump once again pressing Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to slash interest rates now by a full percentage point, he says. Despite a better than expected jobs report, the economy added 139,000 jobs in May. That was down from April's 147,000. Worker pay, though, grew more than expected this time around, and the unemployment rate held steady at 4.2%. Stocks are ahead. We've got the Dow Jones Industrials up 486 points right now. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
939 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. Why on earth would you need those? BetterWater.com. Hey, we got a lot to talk about. We got a great guest on the line. Jack Posobiec is joining the show. What's up, Jack? How we doing, man?
Oh, it's a great day. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, though. Not too much news, not really much going on here in D.C.
It's slow, and I appreciate you taking the time for us to trudge through it. What's the latest, Jack? What are you hearing?
Well, so look, yesterday we had this sort of, they call it the battle of the billionaires. It used to be Trump and Vince McMahon back in his WWE days, and which got him in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. And now we had this battle of the bill, which turned into the battle of the billionaires. So you've got this big, beautiful, I call it the big, beautiful deportation bill that President Trump and Stephen Miller and his team have worked on and are getting it through. It passed the House, and now it's over on the Senate side. And Elon Musk did not like this bill, and there's a lot of people asking if it's really just a bill, but he really used this as a fulcrum to take a lot of attacks on President Trump. President Trump responded in kind, and then earlier today said that, he's not too worried about it, and he's not interested in talking to Elon anytime soon.
I know, it's crazy. Is this really all about the EV mandates, or is that kind of just, what people are saying?
I think it plays a role, but I don't actually think that it's all about that. Because, honestly, if it was just about the EV mandates, I would have said, and by the way, if you want the tax credit, just give him the tax credit. It's not really that big of a deal. And certainly, by the way, a guy like Elon Musk has earned something like that, given all the work that he did in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I have no problem with the politics of that, especially to keep the coalition together. But it does seem there's more. I do think that Elon, and probably rightly so, is very upset that the Congress was not interested in passing the Doge cuts. And so many of these House Republicans would go up to Elon and take selfies with him. And I remember that, we're going to have the Doge subcommittee, and we're all so happy to meet with Elon. Yeah, because you're interested in his checkbooks come campaign time, and we know that the midterms are going to be brutal for Republicans. But then they turned around and weren't interested in actually codifying those Doge cuts into law. Now, at the same time, I don't think that you can really put that at the feet of Donald Trump as the president of the United States. And so I think there's a lot of misfires here, a lot of miscommunication. Obviously, I wish it could have been handled differently. But at the end of the day, there's only one person who was elected president of the United States, and that is President Trump.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, the media hoax of Musk being the co-president, completely dead. How do we recover from this? Is there recovering from this? I mean, when you make a claim that the president was involved with Epstein, which I think is bovine scatology, total BS, is there coming back from that for Musk and Trump?
Well, look, President Trump has a history of turning rivals into allies and having feuds and then ending those feuds when situations change. And I've said to a lot of media, Politico, he was blowing my phone up yesterday, and international press. I just got back from Europe and a huge election win in Poland. And I said, look, never, with President Trump, all things are possible. And he's proven that time and again. And so I would say the ball is really in Trump's court to do what he wants to do, because as it stands, this is a situation where you're talking about ending tax cuts, when you're talking about EV, when you're talking about subsidies. These aren't really conservative line items, right? And so people were willing to go along with it because Elon was so helpful and has been incredibly helpful when it comes to freedom of speech, when it comes to elections. And that was something we're sure. Politically, you're going to make a compromise. Politics is the art of the possible. But at the end of the day, if you're going to shut the door on that, then, what does that do for his political standing? I don't think it's great. I don't think it's really good. And so if you're going to go up against a guy like Donald Trump, the facts are the facts. Donald Trump is one, and by the way, his approvals have been riding super high after his foreign policy trip. People, by the way, are very excited about this bill out there in the real world. When you hear about that, it's no tax on tips, when it's no tax on overtime, when it's mass deportations, and this really is the bill that funds mass deportations. It's not a spending bill, by the way. This is not the budget bill. That comes up later. The budget's up September timeframe. Everybody knows how this works. And so it's really a bill that I think delivers on a lot of the promises that were made on the campaign trail, by the way, including taxing remittances on illegal aliens who are currently here in the United States.
Which is massive and would bring in a bunch of revenue.
Bringing a bunch of revenue, and also what does it do? it allows for self-deportation because it changes the economics of illegal aliens being here in the U.S. Plus, I pointed out that as deportations increase for those people who are the budget hawks, so by the way, that's a real issue. Anyone saying that that's not an issue, that's just not true. It's just that the migrant crisis is an order of magnitude larger of an issue and an absolute crisis for the United States existentially. So when you remove the people on the demand side of the equation for these entitlement programs, and 43% of immigrants, legal and illegal, are on one form of welfare or another, plus their kids are getting education, SNAP, and all these other benefits. Well, guess what? When you remove people from the demand side of entitlement programs, then guess what? That goes down, and that's what the CBO isn't taking into consideration. They're just looking at the supply side, assuming that the number is going to have a steady rate of growth, as opposed to the idea behind all these mass deportations, which will directly and indirectly reduce the amount of people on the programs. And so I've been saying this to a lot of people I know in the Senate and a lot of people I know in the House who are I think, rightly concerned about the debt. But I said, guys, you're focused on the supply side. What if you reduce the demand? You haven't even looked at it that way. And so it's really something where I think there's a lot of different ways to bite at the apple, and unfortunately, people are just talking past each other.
Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. You know, yesterday as Elon and Trump were kind of going back and forth, Trump said, we can save some money by cutting Elon's government contracts, to which Elon then responded that he threatened to decommission SpaceX's Dragon. You were on War Room yesterday with Steve Bannon, and he had an interesting thought. The government should take SpaceX, and Elon should be deported. What was your thoughts as you're sitting there next to Bannon hearing that laid out?
Well, here's what it comes down to, right? SpaceX, 70 to 80%, and I looked this up, of those contracts do come from government. And this is something where when Breitbart was around, when Tesla was first getting going, when SpaceX was first getting going, I think a lot of people rightfully pointed out that a lot of these programs, and Boeing is the same situation, are already state-sponsored enterprises and state-related enterprises. And so you really have, and obviously President Trump putting the number right on the contracts as well and saying something about that. Now, I don't know if I'd go as far as Steve Bannon, but I think he's raising an interesting point where there's this idea that SpaceX is just a private company, but it really is a state-related enterprise and always has been.
Where do you think this carries to today? Where's the conversation going to go between Musk and Trump? Are they going to have that conversation? There's been reports that the White House is trying to set up a call. Then there's reports that Trump doesn't want to call. What's the latest that you've heard?
Well, the latest I've heard is that Trump is going to have that Tesla that's on the south lawn of the White House towed pretty soon here. And I know that's something the White House was discussing yesterday afternoon. And I know that the Wall Street Journal had reported it today. I don't know if you might do that as a theatrical send-off or something like that. But it's President Trump, and I think he has signaled that he wants to move on from this. And you could certainly see, follow Elon Musk on X, of course, and I love what he's done over there. And even he was posting stuff about Starlink and posting just some memes poking fun at the whole dust-up. So I do think that there's a sense that both camps want to move on from this.
Well, if saving money is the goal, you can let President Trump know that it'll just be easier to slap on one of the stickers that the liberals have been putting on their Teslas. It says, "I bought this before Elon went crazy," and then you can leave it there without having to tow it. We're talking to Jack Posobiec, who's one of the best about the beef between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. But you got a great book out right now, Jack. Unhumans is available everywhere. Awesome for summer reading. Tell me about Unhumans.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it up. We released this book. I can't believe it's been almost a year. It hasn't stopped selling because what we've been talking about is the radicalization of the far left, and unfortunately, it's only gotten worse. So when I put this book out last year, people were saying, Jack, you're crazy. The left isn't resorting to violence. We're not in a communist revolution. We're not doing any of these things. And then a week after we put the book out, 2 days after we put the book out, the guy who writes the foreword, Steve Bannon, same Steve Bannon from yesterday, by the way, he gets sent into jail by Joe Biden's administration. And then the week after that, a Zoomer takes a shot at President Trump while he's on a stage in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I said, oh, really? You don't think we're in a communist revolution? Then what else would you call all of this, guys? Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, in December, we get Luigi Maggioni assassinating people in the street. You've got Elias Rodriguez just a couple of weeks ago assassinating two Israeli embassy staffers here on the street in Washington, D.C. And you've seen a string of these assassinations, street violence, the firebombing of Teslas, so much else. And all of this is explained in the book on Humans, because what you're dealing with is communism is not an ideology. And I think so many people get this wrong. They want to talk about philosophy and they want to talk about the grand theories of Marx and Engels. No, it is not a philosophy. It is a tactic. It is a disruption tactic that is used to destabilize countries and institute totalitarian control. And it's been done so time and again. And we use case studies from Russia, from China, from Spain, even from France, all the way back in 1789. To explain how these tactics have been used in the past. And it's never, by the way, people get so wrapped up, oh, it's about equality, it's about social. Oh, it's not. It's never been about that. Even the communists don't believe in communism. And once you stop arguing with them and understand what they really are, then you can actually get to the point where we start winning. And it's through adopting these tactics, and you're starting to see this already, where the new right stops trying to win the debate and just win the country and save the country. That's how you actually stop this stuff.
I love it, man. Where can we get Unhumans? Where's it available?
Yeah, you get Unhumans. It's still on the bookshelves, surprisingly, although the communists try to burn it down every chance they get. But it's actually up. It's Books A Million. Barnes & Noble has it. You can go at Amazon.com. We've got like some signed copies, special edition type stuff on unhumansbook.com.
Perfect. Definitely worth the read. Definitely something to read poolside this summer. Real quick before you go, though, I know that you're habitually online, as I am too. What do you think about the 4D chess bros who are saying, oh, this is just to make Musk more palatable to the left again, or this is just because this is a Peter Thiel plan to get J.D. Vance installed, or this is to get the Democrats to demand the release of the Epstein files. Where are you at with the 4D chess bros?
Oh my gosh, no. This isn't 4D chess. In wrestling parlance, all right, this is not kayfabe. This is not a work. This is all shoot, baby. This is all shoot. And
Okay.
the left is coming at me because I said, look, this is how men talk. Right. This is how, and I said it in kind of a funny way, but I said, this is how men talk. And they're not used to that because they're used to this sort of mealy mouth talk from Republicans and Democrats both, where it's, it's ruled by committee and these consensus statements come out. No, when men want to talk, when men want to argue, they throw down, they take shots at each other. When my brother and I go at it, we go hard, man.
Yeah.
We go as hard as possible. But you know what? We make up and then, we show up for dinner on the weekend. So I hope that it's a spat like that and it goes over, but we'll see. And as for 4D chess, no. This is the real deal.
Well, I appreciate your insight. Hey, when the news is breaking, Posobiec is usually in the middle of it. Where can we find you on X, Jack?
You find me on X at Jack Posobiec, and I'm actually going to be on the War Room here just in a couple of minutes with Steve Bannon. We're going to be talking about this massive strike, the Russian response in Ukraine last night.
All right, man. Hey, looking forward to it as always. Thank you for the time. Much appreciated, man.
Thanks, Chris. God bless.
Hey, God bless. It is 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What President Trump plans to do with that red Tesla that he bought from his former friend, Elon Musk. And it's been 81 years since D-Day. How is it remembered in Normandy, France this morning? Those stories coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Donald Trump, is he going to get rid of the Tesla?
He is, yes.
Everything's computer, though, Joan.
What do you mean?
Everything's computer in the Tesla.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I wouldn't
it
get
remembers.
Rid of it. Just slap the sticker on it. It says, I bought this before Elon went crazy, just like the libs did, and it'll work fine. Timothy in Winchester wants to talk about Elon and Trump. What's up, Timmy? How we doing, man?
I'm doing good, Chris. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Hey, appreciate it, man. What are your thoughts?
Well, Jack, the last caller, he's the expert. I'm not the expert, but I haven't listened to the bros or any of that. In my opinion, Trump and Musk are too good of friends for this to just overnight have a spat. I think this is a calculated public relations campaign. I think Musk took a lot of hits, death threats, burning Teslas, all this stuff. And I think as a token of their good friendship, I think both their PR teams got together and said, hey, what can we do to repair the damage done to Musk and the brand and himself personally.
Well, Tim,
and
listen, man,
think
you're not the only one that thinks that, and I appreciate the call. And if you look at Tesla stock today, currently up almost 7%. So I mean, if it was a kayfabe, you could make the argument it's working. I don't tend to think that it's 4D chess. Neither did Jack Posobiec. He said it's the real deal. That's the position I'm operating from. I get the 4D chess bros. Love the 4D chess bros. Read all the 4D chess posts. Don't think that this is that. It's 10 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It pays to have a helicopter. Channel 5's chopper has spotted that wayward zebra in Christiana. This from their live feed this morning.
Sightings of the zebra for the past 4 days, and that raised some concerns that perhaps something bad had happened to it. But again, I can confirm from both the zebra's owner and a professional tracker I spoke with that the zebra was spotted yesterday in Christiana in that area and looks to be in good health in a wooded area.
Now, Channel 5 also says there are professional teams now deployed to that area right off I-24 where Ed the zebra was spotted, and they're hoping to bait him with food and water. We'll keep an eye on any new developments there. Veterans gathered this morning in Normandy, France to mark the 81st anniversary of the D-Day landings. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth commemorated that anniversary of D-Day, in which American soldiers played a leading role.
To walk over or run, if you can, carrying equipment over that open beach as shells and bullets thunder around you again and again, I cannot imagine. Could you do that? Could I?
Nearly 160,000 Allied troops landed on D-Day. One person in critical but stable condition following a home explosion and fire in the subdivision near Lynn Cove in Gallatin. Channel 4 reports that the inspector had reportedly been inside the home testing appliances during a final inspection of that newly constructed home.
Gentleman come up, obviously very burnt, needing help. So I called 911. Look over and seen the house in flames.
Now, other neighbors say they have all just moved into the neighborhood, and now they all want to have their gas stoves checked for possible leaks. Well, it does not appear that feud between President Trump and his former presidential aide, Elon Musk, will thaw anytime soon. ABC's Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl says he actually called Trump's phone this morning at 6:30 And the president picked up.
Trump told me he has no interest. He's not particularly interested in talking to what he called the man who has lost his mind. So I wouldn't look for a détente anytime soon. Trump, I have to say, though, he didn't sound particularly concerned about all of this. He wanted to talk about other things, and he was rather dismissive of the whole controversy.
The New York Post reporting that President Trump is now looking to sell or give away that red Tesla, the one that he bought at full price from Elon Musk in March. That Tesla has been parked in front of the White House and given to White House staffers to use. That's the latest news. We've got weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us. We're live on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Every week at this time, we get to go behind the fence at the White House with our own White House reporter from Turning Point USA, Monica Page. Monica, I wish that we had a busier day to talk to you. I'm sorry that there isn't much going on.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, it's been a wild 24 hours, let alone past 4 days. It's just been non-stop, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
Chris.
I can imagine. And one of the things that I do every morning before I get on my show is I go to your Twitter account, at Monica Page TV, and I look at the White House schedule for the day. You post it religiously. So today we have some executive orders being signed. We have Trump participating in the swearing-in ceremony for the Secretary of the Navy, and we have Trump heading to New Jersey, Bedminster. What are the executive orders about today? Before we get into all the drama and the big beautiful beef.
Yeah, you can imagine that. Well, you know what? We don't exactly know what the executive orders could be. In recent days, the White House has been kind of on the quieter side as far as what the president's going to sign, what the president's leaning towards, what he's thinking behind closed doors. I mean, as you can imagine, because of the drama as of late, nothing's coming out of the White House. We go back there just to kind of see what the vibe is, what's the energy looking like back there, and it's been pretty quiet. They are doubling down on, this whole recent qualm and this brush up between President Trump and Elon Musk. But as far as the executive orders, we are left in the dark with those kinds of things. We don't know until he signs them.
All right, interesting. Well, we'll be waiting for that. It's going to happen 12:30 Central for those executive orders. Now, when it comes to what's happening with Elon and Trump, and you said, you go into the back, you kind of check the vibe at the White House. What's the word on how Susie Wiles has been taking all of this? Because a lot of people say that this reserved reaction from Trump is pretty much probably from Susie Wiles. Is that what you're hearing? And how is Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, taking all this?
Well, I think that due to the fact that this White House wants to focus on the positives and wants to really just not let this become a distraction from what the true message is, which is that we need to pass this big, beautiful bill. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting. And I went to the back and actually spoke to Stephen Chung, and I was like, hey, what's kind of the mood on the ground back here? And he was saying, let's just keep the focus on what this is all about at the end of the day, which is passing this bill. It's making sure that Americans, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, funding for the border wall, deporting a million illegal aliens per year. Let's keep the focus on that, because if we start to divert and start to, get our emotions involved the way Elon Musk has, it can lead to an even worse situation. So on getting the pulse on Susie Wiles, not entirely sure how she's feeling, but President Trump is handling this with an immense amount of grace as of right now.
And I'm sure the name Elon has been brought up a lot at the White House, but has the name Epstein been brought up in the White House?
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing that from mainstream media and their reporting as well. But people can speculate all they want. And of course, the lawyer in that situation put out a post on X saying, there's nothing damaging. There's nothing damning in this report. President Trump, of course, banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club years ago after learning that Epstein is not the best guy to be hanging around with. So people can speculate. They can make up all these rumors. It seems like a personal jab that holds no weight. This isn't the first time that Elon Musk has supposedly made these kinds of claims against people that he doesn't like. So we got to see how this is going to play out. But at the end of the day, President Trump has a message and he has a responsibility to fix this country, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, and he's been busy this week. I mean, if we rewind a few days before all the drama, we had a travel ban instated in this country once again. This is the travel ban 2.0, 19 countries, 12 completely banned, was it 7 restricted. What are you hearing about the travel ban, and what's the reaction been, especially from the leftists in the press circles?
Yeah, they're trying to call this another race baiting thing, and that President Trump is trying to restrict people from coming to this country just because. And that's not exactly the case. I mean, we saw what happened in Colorado with that hate-fueled attack from this Egyptian national. Yep. And the president wants to make sure that national security is first and foremost his number one priority, whether that's securing the border and banning foreign nationals from coming into this country. And I took a look at this, exit and overstay survey that was taken back in 2023. And some of these countries like Chad, Haiti, Afghanistan, the nationals that are coming into these countries, they're overstaying by like more than 50% at a time.
It's crazy.
Which is crazy. And that's student visa and, tourist and business visa combined. So when you take those numbers and you're seeing, who is not really, respecting our immigration laws in this country, it's about time that we start implementing these bans. And under the previous administration, we were just letting anybody come in without any sort of vetting process. Yep. So, if you're serious about illegal immigration, we should be serious about those who've been overstaying their visas. And that's exactly what President Trump's been doing.
Now, you mentioned the Boulder, Colorado terror suspect. There was a lot of news about his family who had also overstayed their visas. And one of his daughters actually got a scholarship, and, you can make the argument that it was taken from an American citizen. But a judge stepped in. The judge looks like the old man from the movie Up. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but he's a dead ringer for it. What are you hearing from the White House on the hold on deporting that family? Because it would seem like it's open and shut because they overstayed their visas.
Well, the president's going to do what he's been trying to do this entire time and trying to do what the people voted for, essentially. I mean, we elected President Trump. We didn't elect these judges in these black robes here to stifle and stunt the president's opportunities to be doing what the people voted for. And he has a mandate and he's going to do it. This isn't the first time that we've seen these kinds of situations involving these judges. And it's certainly not going to be the last time. I mean, this is only the beginning. And we've all predicted that, too, when it comes to, the president's mandate with these deportations. They find these deportations to be inhumane, to be separating families, and that's certainly not the case. We got to protect our own citizens here at home. So
Amen.
I think the family's going to be deported at the end of the day. We got to make sure they're on a flight back to Egypt, and they're going to stay there because this guy was a terror threat, is a terror threat, and will continue to be a threat for as long as he's on American soil.
Yeah, and I made the point yesterday. It's like I have 4 little kids. I can't poop in my house without somebody popping in. So how did the family not know anything was going on? I have a hard time believing that. I'm raising my kids to be Christian. So how is this father not raising his kids to be radical Islamists? I think that those are honest questions and real questions that we need to ask. There was a lot of stuff happening at the White House this week. If you blinked, you missed it. But there was also a phone call with Vladimir Putin and a phone call with Xi Jinping. What are you hearing about both of those calls with those world leaders?
Well, I know they're both very productive, Chris. I mean, he started off the week with the phone call with Russia, talking about trade and discussing, the ongoing war with Ukraine. Putin made it clear that he wants to respond and is going to respond to the latest attacks carried out by Ukraine. So that's what he's going to do. And I know the two also had a conversation regarding Iran and Iran trying to obtain nuclear weapons and making sure that is never a possibility in the near future. The phone call with Xi Jinping also being very productive. It was about an hour and a half long. The phone call with President Putin being about an hour and 15 minutes long. So still very long phone calls, very productive. We also know that Xi Jinping invited President Trump and the First Lady to China. And I believe that President Trump's team, he's going to be deploying Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, and Jameson Greer to be meeting with China's team to discuss ongoing trade negotiations as well. So it seems like they're coming to a conclusion here regarding trade. We know that President Trump has been implementing these huge amounts of percentages of tariffs on China, making sure that we have our own production right here at home. But he's the master of deal making. He's a businessman. He knows exactly how to handle countries like China. And that's exactly what he's doing. So both really positive conversations. Of course, with Vladimir Putin, he said that this is not exactly a peace-talking conversation. Is it a step in the right direction? Perhaps. But we'll have to see how this plays out because I don't really see the war with Russia and Ukraine ending anytime soon.
No, especially given what we saw with Ukraine and the drone attack. Has there been any talk at the White House about the mysterious timing of the visits of Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo before that drone attack took place in Russia? Are there any conversations about the planning for that attack and if the U.S. was or was not involved?
Well, the president receives his intelligence briefing behind closed doors. Unfortunately, those kinds of conversations aren't released to us in the press. But, it really makes you wonder, it really makes you question some of these Republican leaders who do these kinds of things and meet with these kinds of officials and spend thousands of dollars on hotel rooms in Ukraine. It really makes you wonder what the true motive is at the end of the day. And I'm sure the president knows and is briefed on the motives and the reasoning behind it. But I'm pretty sure that he, keeps his allies close and just keeps a very close watch as to what these players are up to, because it can't be anything good.
Right. We're talking with Monica Page. She is our White House reporter from Turning Point USA and Frontlines. She's one of the best. With all the hoopla going on about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, I think that we're kind of losing the big, beautiful bill in the mist, right? So what is the latest on the big, beautiful bill? Where does the Senate stand with things? And are we looking like that July 4th deadline is going to be achieved?
I'm not really sure at all, honestly. I mean, we're hoping the July 4th deadline is achieved, but a lot of Republicans really have to come together and take a look at all the benefit that this bill is going to provide for the American people. I mean, I've previously named out a bunch of amazing things this bill is going to do. I mean, especially the no tax on tips. That's a huge selling point. The president met with the Fraternal Order of Police yesterday, and that's one of the first things that came out of their mouth was no tax on overtime. These guys work crazy hours throughout their entire career. They deserve no tax on overtime. And of course, a lot of people in the service industry, the president was trying to make an appeal to them. But you have to understand that this bill is going to provide everything that the president campaigned on and ran on and everything that the American people voted for. So if this bill is not going to pass, I think the American people are going to be very upset because this is what they voted for.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that it can get passed. I'm hoping that, the Senate can come together, especially with those Republicans who are not a fan of the bill, to just, find some common ground and realize, hey, this is what the president campaigned on. This is what they voted for. Let's pass this thing.
Yeah, and a lot of people pointing out President Trump really didn't campaign on cutting spending. He just wasn't one of the campaign promises, and the majority of the campaign promises are in that bill. That's the vehicle for getting his agenda done. With everything going on, are there stories that we're missing, Monica? Every week I ask you this question because you're so in tune with what's happening at the White House. What are some stories that you think deserve a little bit more attention than the press has been giving?
So I did a story this past week. It's kind of old news, but it's a story that totally went under the radar, and that's President Trump's administration, especially in the DHS sector of things, reopening the Voice office. And for those that don't know what the Voice office is, it's for victims of illegal alien crime and those who have, been ignored.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing of this. So yeah, please, fill us in.
Yeah. So in I believe it was back in 2015, 2017, when the president was first in office, he opened the Voice office for families and those who have been affected by illegal alien crime, those who are victims of crime carried out by these illegal aliens, by immigrants who are in this country that have no business being here. And it provides them with the resources for, therapy or just a platform to track their perpetrators' status on immigration and their court status and all the legal proceedings involving that. And what was interesting is that the Biden administration in 2021 completely eradicated it and shuttered its doors and changed the entire department as a whole for illegal aliens who have been mistreated in these detention centers. So completely warping this office to something that put the American people aside and prioritized illegal aliens in these detention centers. So if they were being mistreated or there was any sort of misconduct in these detention centers, these illegal aliens could report it. And those who work in immigration law can kind of pounce on the opportunity to represent these illegal aliens in court and make a case for them. So that was very interesting to hear about and to learn about. I was doing some digging on it. And just recently, just about a month or two ago, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem reopened it and, brought in the family members of Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungray, and all those victims who have experienced death or harm due at the hands of illegal aliens and said, hey, we want to give you a voice. You can speak on this, and thus reopen the Voice office. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And when it was implemented back in President Trump's first term, it was utilized. People were using it. They fielded over 700 calls, I believe, within the first couple of years of its opening. And for some reason, the Biden administration decided to close it because they said that migrants linked with crime is not a good look for illegal aliens. So they said, to hell with it. And they opened a completely different office. But now that's no longer. And we finally have the Voice office re-implemented and open for business. So
well, hey, listen, I'm so glad that you're locked in at the White House and you can share those stories that the mainstream media is not sharing. This is one of the best things that you bring to the table, Monica, and we appreciate you joining us every single week here at this time. Where can we find you? Where can we keep up with your news during the week?
Thank you so much, Chris. You can find me on Instagram and X at Monica Page TV. And also, I'm speaking at the Young Women's Leadership Summit.
Let's go
next weekend. So
I know.
It's very exciting. I know.
So behind the scenes, when they said that you were speaking, I was so excited for you. I think that you were just going to absolutely crush. Young Women's Leadership Summit is happening in Dallas, Texas, at the Gaylord. And that's next weekend already. Jeez. You'll be able to watch the whole thing live on Rumble, too. So you'll be able to see Monica Page main stage giving a speech. Have you written the speech yet? Are you a little nervous?
I'm pretty nervous. I have never given a speech to this extent before, but I'll give you a little bit of an exclusive. I'm trying to get Caroline Levitt, our press secretary, a video message to present to the audience. So
let's go.
I hope that it comes to fruition.
I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, you're going to crush. I think out of all the speakers at YWLS, you're the most I'm excited to see.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I'll see you next weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday as well. Monica Page joining us like she does every time this week on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Monica. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great weekend.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at United Structural Systems. I don't know if you've been looking at the weather coming up in the next few days, but if you have waterproofing issues, I'm sure that the forecast is giving you the jitters because you know what's going to happen. That water's going to get back in the crawl space. That water's going to get back in the basement, and you're going to be dealing with it again. See, with these kind of problems, when the water dries up and it gets warm out, we're like, okay, good, we're good. And we pretend that we don't see it anymore. But the problem is these small problems never stay small. And if you ignore that water getting inside your crawl space and in your basement, it's going to lead to bigger issues like mold, like foundation issues. You don't want to do that. What you need to do is call USS immediately. At the first signs of waterproofing issues, call USS. They've helped over 30,000 homeowners in Middle Tennessee and Kentucky with their work. And when they leave behind a warranty that is good for life. That's how confident these guys are in the job they do. That's how they've stayed in the game for 30 years. Locally owned here in Middle Tennessee, United Structural Systems are the guys to call if you see the signs. Don't wait. Call USS. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. USSTN.com.
What they're doing to capture Ed the zebra. And we'll tell you about Russia's revenge on Ukraine. That and more coming up here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It is 10:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Shout out to Monica Page. Shout out to Jack Posobiec for joining the show. Those guys are the best. If you want to listen to those interviews again, they'll be available on Apple and Spotify. You can watch them again on YouTube, all the things. If you're watching us on YouTube, Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the share button. Help us make the digital footprint of this radio station as humanly possible, as big as humanly possible as we can. Can't do it without you, so we appreciate you helping us share everything. All right, so the big story of the day, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, where are you at on the situation? We've heard from the experts. We've heard from Posobiec, and we heard from Monica Page, the vibe at the White House. But what's the vibe on the ground? Where do you stand? Do you think that this is a work? Are you in the 4D chess crowd? Do you think that Donald Trump is wrong? Do you think that Elon Musk is wrong? I want to get your opinions on this. 615-737-9986. After we get back from the news, we're going to have a long segment where we really just dig into your phone calls. Again, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think Donald Trump is going to be implicated in the Epstein files. I don't. Is his name going to be in some random place, maybe, possibly, that could get Elon off the hook when it comes to a lawsuit? Maybe because of the vagueness of his statement, sure. But I don't think Donald Trump did anything that would be considered Prince Andrew-esque, if you will. I don't think that that's what he was doing. I said it earlier in the show, and I'll say it again. I'm willing to change my mind should new information become available. I am. And if information becomes available that was to prove me completely wrong, just 100% wrong, Donald Trump is implicated in the Epstein files, I'll be the first to eat crow here on this radio station. And I will do it, and I will admit to you that I was wrong. That being said, I don't think that this is the reality. Now, I do think that there's a reason. There is a reason why people their eyes bulged out of their head when Elon dropped that tweet that said Trump is implicated in the Epstein files. And do you know what I think the reason why people lost their mind? It's because we heard Dan Bongino say this just a couple weeks ago.
Those two cases obviously are of significant public interest. I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't. Right. There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay, it was only one camera. There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this, we are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
And again, I think that those comments from Dan Bongino are the reason why people's eyes bulged out of their heads when they saw the Elon tweet. Because when we think about Jeffrey Epstein and we think about him not killing himself or killing himself, I think we've all kind of been in the camp that there was no way that the cameras went down and Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. It was too coincidental. Yet now we have the Deputy FBI Director, Dan Bongino, who was adamant for years that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, saying, oh, no, he did kill himself. And we have video after we were told for years that the cameras weren't working. I think that this is the reason why you have some people out there going, aha, Donald Trump is implicated. Because when we heard this from Dan Bongino, we thought, sounds a bit like BS. Anyway, we're going to take a long segment. When we get back, we're going to take calls from you. What is your thoughts on Elon versus Trump? What are your thoughts on Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein? 615-737-9986. Taking your calls next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Our wayward zebra, who now identifies as Ed, has reportedly been spotted in a field in Christiana by News Chopper 5. Ed had bolted into a grove of trees, and that's where they believe that he remains right now.
Professional trackers are out there right now. This morning, they think they've got him in a position perhaps where they can get him. He's sure to be hungry and thirsty, even though I think, he's got water and grass out there, but they hope to bait him into an enclosure where he'll be captured.
Now, Channel 4 is reporting that the owner has been notified of Ed's whereabouts and he's working with a veterinarian to bring the animal in safely. Russia unleashed a new round of airstrikes overnight as retaliation for Ukraine's drone attack on Russian military aircraft. ABC's Martha Raddatz reports from Kyiv.
More than 400 drones and 40 missiles launched from Russia in this latest assault, leaving several dead and many more injured. Explosions rocking Kyiv as the Ukrainian air defenses combat the incoming attack. 4 people were killed in Kyiv during the attacks, 20 injured. Debris falling on metro rails, and thousands were left without power.
Now, this revenge strike comes a day after President Trump suggested to reporters yesterday that it might be best to let the two sides fight it out for a while. This morning's news on jobs wasn't great, but it certainly has Wall Street cheering today. After adding 177,000 jobs in April, the U.S. economy added less than that, 139,000 in May.
That's stronger than Wall Street economists were anticipating for May, but it will drag down the 3-month average of 155,000 new jobs per month. The unemployment rate was unchanged at 4.2%, with increased hiring in the healthcare and hospitality sectors, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan reporting, and that is the latest news. We've got your weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store. And usually, I talk to everybody when it comes to these Glock store commercials. But today, specifically, I want to talk to the ladies. Father's Day. It's coming up. You need to get them a good gift. There's nothing better than a Glock. I'm just telling you. And if your husband or the dad in your life already has a Glock, well, maybe you can get him some custom parts. Maybe you get him a training session. You get all that done at the one and only Glock store. And here's the best part. If you want to get some performance parts on your Glock, they'll install them for your dad while you guys wait. Then you can sign up for a training session at shoot270.com. You could do it with your dad. Oh, my gosh. How fun would that be? How about you take dad out for a training session for Father's Day at the Glock store? You'll win Father's Day. I guarantee it. If you need Glock handguns, if you need training, you need to go to the Glock store. It's minutes from the airport. It's worth the drive from anywhere. And if you can't make it out there, you can always shop online. Glockstore.com. That's Glockstore.com.
GracePoint Healthcare is affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How? As a direct pay provider, your healthcare is delivered without the red tape of insurers' guidelines. Pay by the visit or join the Smart Care Plan. Starting at $69 a month, you get free office visits and basic labs for the entire year. GracePoint treats the root cause of a condition, not just the symptoms, through a comprehensive, functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same day or the next day, you're treated at your convenience. GracePoint Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Strong thunderstorms possible across the mid-state today and through the weekend. I'm WSMV4 First Alert meteorologist Stefano DiPietro. Dry to start off our day today, but scattered showers and storms expected to develop this afternoon and into the early part of this evening. Heavier downpours, gusty wind, and maybe even some hail possible with any thunderstorm. We're in the 80s today. Rain tapers off tonight. We start off dry tomorrow, late morning and through the afternoon, though. We are going to have a few more showers and thunderstorms develop. The same deal. Heavy downpours, gusty winds with any thunderstorm, and maybe a leftover storm on Sunday.
$10:38, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The big, beautiful beef, Elon versus Trump. Huh. I mean, is it even beef? It's kind of beef. A lot of people say it's 4D chess. It's a work. It's not even real. It's not even real. This is to help Elon sell cars. I don't believe that for a second. I love the 4D chess bros and respect them. Respect them. Sometimes things are 4D chess. I don't think this is. But I want to know what your take is. 615-737-9986. Your thoughts on Elon Musk versus Donald Trump. Steve's on the road. What's up, man? How we doing?
Hey, Chris. Good, sir. How are you today?
I'm good, man. What's your thoughts?
Oh man, this is a nasty pit right here that we're having to fall into with this whole ordeal.
Really? I think it's fun. I've actually this is the most fun I've had in a while.
Yeah, it's just I mean, like I said, I really respect both of these men. They're very successful. They're very powerful, very great, and I think Trump is a little more down to earth than Elon. Elon's a little detached from common sensity. You can tell that. But, this whole thing with Trump being in the Epstein files, to what degree is what we're waiting to find out, I guess. And I heard rumors he was on the Epstein plane for, six times or something like that?
Yeah, it was like 6 or 7 times, and he never went to the island, went to Florida to New York or back and forth.
Okay, so my thing with this is, if that's where Trump is in the Epstein files, that he rode Epstein's plane. I mean, we know what was going on in that plane. We don't know who all was involved in it, or maybe that was back in Trump's big business days. Maybe he was doing business deals. He was using Epstein's plane, and Epstein was trying to get a deal going with him. But we do know that, Epstein had that island, and we know what went on there. But we also know he had that plane for faster access, to where he could just pick up these tycoons or these guys, and he could fly them from one place to the other. And the same thing that was happening at the island was happening on that plane. It was just like a mobile, whatever you want to call it, right?
So you're of the opinion that Donald Trump is absolutely guilty in this.
I'm not saying that he's guilty. He was on the plane, but it's and also, here's in his defense. It seems like if there was a girl, if there was one of Epstein's girls was on that plane and Trump was on that plane and something happened, it seems like, or 6 different girls or whatever. If it was 6 different girls, we would already have heard from one of these girls,
Well, and there's been statements from victims that said Donald Trump didn't do anything ever. It wasn't around, never saw him, heard his name mentioned, but never dealt with him.
That's my thing too. Maybe Epstein was trying to get him, and he didn't take the bait. Maybe he didn't want the bait. Maybe it was a money deal. That's what we need to find out.
Yeah.
What really went down on those planes, and Trump should just come right out if he knows for 100%. He never done anything with any girls on any Epstein plane. He should just come right out and say that right now to just end it all.
Yeah, I mean, but it's been said so many times, Steve, and I appreciate the call as always. Back in, and I played this a minute ago. This is back from 2009. The lawyer for an Epstein victim, 70 Epstein victims. I was doing an interview with, I think this was Anomaly, Dream Rare. Dream Rare, Anomaly. He's interviewing the lawyer of 70 Epstein victims, and this lawyer said, listen, when I called these high-profile celebrities and I called these big individuals, big-name individuals, Only one person answered the phone. Only one person gave me actionable information. That one person was Donald Trump. And when you listen to the interviewer here, he's not like loading the question to set this up for Trump to, have a safe landing. He's inquisitive, and he's like, give me the real details. Was Trump involved?
Obviously, our current president has had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who have accused Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but are those claims, though that case was dropped, it was dropped before it went to court. In your opinion as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009. That's attorney Bradley Edwards. Spent a decade on the Jeffrey Epstein case. Represented 70 victims. Said the only connected individual that he reached out to that was willing to give him the time of day was Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave him actionable information. I just don't see this being real. I just don't. I've said it a couple times. I'll be happy to eat crow should new information become available. But the way it stands right now, no, I don't think that Trump was involved with Epstein. Willie, who's driving. What's up, Will? What are your thoughts?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Love your show.
Thanks, bro.
Listen, I've been into some situations where I know what a jail cell looks like, and all of that. So, not that I'm proud of it, but hey, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
My thought is, and I've said this for many years. I've told the wife this. I've said it all along. I don't think he's dead. Period. I do not think Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Period.
Are you're one of the earlobe bros on Twitter?
Do what now?
Are you one of the earlobe bros where you're comparing earlobes?
No.
No. Well, then why don't you think he's dead?
I just don't. And I think on the other side of that, I think he's still pulling strings. I do. I do not think he's dead. Period.
See, I love a good conspiracy. I love a good conspiracy, but I think it would probably be more realistic to say like Epstein wasn't the guy in charge. Epstein was the fall guy, and somebody was running things behind the scenes, and he was just the front face of the operation. And
that might be true.
But that leads me to believe that they wouldn't give a damn getting rid of him. Like that's the whole point of having a front face of the operation.
That's true too. But I'll stand by my thought, and until somebody proves me wrong, well then I'll believe that.
But how
don't think he's done.
How can somebody prove you wrong when your claim is Epstein is alive? Because if he's
somewhere,
if he's dead, it's like he's in the ground. Do you know what I mean? So like it's harder.
Yeah,
it's hard to prove.
But I don't think he is. I don't.
All right,
I really don't, and I'm going to stand by that. And everybody's going to think, "Oh God, what a nutty man." And that's fine.
Honestly, man, I don't think anybody's going to think you're nutty. I don't think the theory is even that nutty. You're not the first person that I've heard it from, and I don't think that you'll be the last. I don't think it's a nutty theory, to be perfectly honest with you. I just don't buy it.
Okay, well, I appreciate that part of it.
Yeah, man, of course. Bobby in Nashville, or Nash Vegas, as Bobby puts it, wants to talk about Epstein. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, brother. How's everything going?
Man,
here's the deal, man. Just with your last conversation with that last fella, if you're not in the ground, you're above ground. So anyway, Epstein, I think Epstein is dead, but here's the deal. What's going on with his counterpart, Miss Maxwell? And if you think about this, I don't think they'll ever bring anything up publicly about Epstein. And you look at this, P. Diddy, at the time they was getting ready to dive into Epstein, bam, all of a sudden they bust P. Diddy. So that takes it off of the Epstein files. But, yeah, man, there's too many big wigs involved with Epstein. Can you imagine if all the names came out? it'll be drastic, brother. What's your take on it?
I mean, I've been hopeful that names would come out and that's we'd get lists, but then the more days go on, the less hopeful I am. I don't know if we'll ever get it. Probably not. Probably not. I would pray. I pray we do. But I'm wondering what happens next. I think that Donald Trump has real grounds for a lawsuit here. Chris Cuomo was talking about this last night, and he's saying that he thinks this is the reason why Donald Trump has been so quiet when it comes to Elon and the Epstein tweet.
Now, Trump hasn't responded. Some are taking this as an admission, not me. I think, again, unless Musk does some serious ass-kissing on the quick, Trump is going to sue him for defamation. And if Trump sues, I think he wins. Now, I don't often like Trump's use of litigation. I didn't like it when he threatened to sue my parents for giving birth to me.
That probably should have happened, though.
True story. And I don't like him suing 60 Minutes. No way they lose that lawsuit for editing. They always edit. Most interviews are edited. CBS is just over a barrel because allegedly their merger won't be approved until the suit is settled. That's dirty pool. This is different. The reason a public figure is easy to insult is because there's a very high legal bar to prove damage. You have to show that the person who said it showed actual malice, what they call reckless disregard of truth. What does that mean? That means that you knew or had reason to know that what you put out was wrong and you did it anyway. This is not just Musk, the mogul. This is coming from Musk, who was so close to the White House that he had all kinds of clearances and access with his Doge guys digging through everything. Trump could argue, not only is the allegation false, but that Musk knows it's false. He knows what he said is BS. And then he could force a huge settlement or a humongous award.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because if Elon's operating from a place where he does believe this is true, which I don't think he is. I think it was just a jab. I think he was, he went for a low blow and he landed it. But let's game plan it out again. If Elon does really think this true, that means he spent $250 million to get a pedophile elected. Because that's the implication, right? Like if you're in the Epstein files, the implication is that you're a pedophile. So Elon, you spent $250 million to get a pedophile elected, right? You then became friends with this person. You would go to the Oval Office all the time, go to UFC fights with them, hang out with them. You're on Trump Force One. You're everywhere with them. You're jumping up and down on stage for a pedophile, right? You let your kid spend unsupervised time with a pedophile. And then, if Elon believes this is true, the line in the sand for doing business with a pedophile was EV mandates. I don't think it's true. And I don't think Elon thinks it's true. Because if he did, the implications of that Elon is an awful human being. Can we be perfectly honest? If it comes out that Trump is on the Epstein list, and Elon worked with him anyway, well, congratulations. You helped a pedophile get elected. What does that say about you? I don't think that would cause people to view you very highly. Real quick, Alan on the road wants to talk about Epstein. What's up, Al?
What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Good, man. How we doing?
I'm doing all right, buddy. Hey, listen, there's absolutely no possibility there's anything damning against Trump in the Epstein files. And Joe Biden's administration proved that to us when they didn't use it against him.
Yeah.
If we assume that Dan Bongino, as the assistant deputy director or the deputy director of the FBI, has access to all the information, he knows everything that's in it, then we can also assume that his counterpart in the Biden administration knew that as well.
That's fair.
If they had that information, there's absolutely no possibility, when we consider the lawfare they used against Trump for the last election, that they would not have used that information against him in 2020 or 2024. It's the biggest gun they would have had.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they wouldn't have needed to go through all the impeachments. They wouldn't have needed to go through the 34 charges and felonies that they went after him. They wouldn't have tried to put him in prison for 700 years. They wouldn't have had to send a lunatic up on a roof to take a shot at him. If they had that, they could have ended it a long time ago. And people will say, but the Democrats are implicated too, so they couldn't release that. And I feel like they could have found a workaround if they wanted to end Trump, if they had that information. Totally agree. 1052, Super Talk 99.7, WTN.
Couple of stories we're following for you right now. In addition to the heavy rain falling over parts of downtown Nashville, Channel 4 says a person disappeared in the Cumberland River during an attempted rescue this morning, and a shootout in the middle of the street, and a stray bullet hits a baby asleep in a home. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, or as Joan likes to call it, the dust-encrusted news closet. What up, Ken?
What's up, brother Chris Hand?
Mason Fleming, Louie, they're producing. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. My name is Chris Hand. We got Bo and Gabe in studio. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
You guys are back. You had a busy weekend last weekend. You went to the Dyke March.
Yeah.
Was that a lot? That was a lot of fun.
It was. It was a lot of fun. It was really funny because, like, the stereotypical lesbians were all on motorcycles, just going down the streets, and it's like, sometimes the comedy just writes itself.
Yeah, it's like, and I won't say any specific words, but if you guys have ever watched that South Park episode with the bikers, it was just, it was like comedy, like just recreating itself in real life. It was so funny.
And then you guys, this weekend, you're going to World Pride, which is in D.C.
Yes, and we're going to be in D.C. at the perfect time with the Big Beautiful Beef.
I know, the Big Beautiful Beef. What are you guys thinking about that?
Look, I'm a Trump loyalist. I think that most people who aren't Trump loyalists will just always be proven wrong. I take the hardcore Michael Knowles approach to things, which is you just don't understand it yet. You're not big brain enough to understand what's going on. Chill out. Everything is like you're just too online. Go touch some grass. Come back in a week. Everything will be fine.
My take, I was listening. I'm glad I listened in the last 20 minutes so we're not repeating anything. I agree basically with everything you've said.
Yeah.
I think Elon's too autistic for his own good. I think he's very, very smart, but it's got to a point where it's going to start hurting him because, like you said, he's so dead set on EV spending. He's not looking at the big picture, and he's going to end up ruining a relationship over that.
All right, well, Bo and Gabe are in studio. We're going to talk about where they've been, where they're going, plus we'll talk about the headlines of the day. Also, the world-famous lightning round is coming up at 11:35. You guys heard of the lightning round?
No.
Oh, dude, we got a big deal. We got sound effects and everything. You guys are going to join us for it, all right?
All right.
It's 11 o'clock. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Something I...
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got some heavy rain in the neighborhood right now, part of north downtown Nashville. Very heavy rain there. Then a little further north, looks like Goodlettsville, Hendersonville area. Got some pretty heavy rain there. All of this is just scattered. None of it is severe. Traffic-wise, right now in Murfreesboro, they're still trying to fix some downed power lines. Looks like a crash took out a power pole. So traffic in Murfreesboro is blocked. This is going to be Northwest Broad Street between Stockard Street and Medical Center Parkway. No word on when that might be fixed. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Channel 4 says a person disappeared in the Cumberland River during an attempted rescue near the Silliman-Evans Bridge this morning. Nashville Fire Department reports crews responded to a report of someone jumping into the river, then being in distress. Crews saw this person trying to swim across the river toward the east bank, but that person started floating downstream and then was last spotted underneath a barge. Hasn't been seen since. Crews are in boats still searching. Shootout in the middle of the street, and a stray bullet hits a baby who was asleep in a home. This happened in Spring Hill, Channel 4 says, right before 1 o'clock this morning in the Harvest Point subdivision. Police say a car pulled up to someone outside. People got out of the car, and the shooting started. About 15 shots in all. One of the bullets flew into a home where the 1-year-old baby was asleep, striking the baby. That baby's in stable condition, fortunately. Police still looking for the suspects. No signs of a thaw the day after a social media feud erupted between President Trump and Elon Musk. NBC News White House correspondent Karen Travers with the latest.
The president said that Musk was interested in talking to him, but he is not ready for that. Musk and the president seem to sort of wear themselves out and stopped posting these messages back and forth. But this is a really significant break, given that it was just 1 week ago when they were in the Oval Office together. The president said that Elon wasn't actually leaving, that he could come back and continue the work of Doge. But then yesterday, the president said Elon had worn thin and that he had actually asked him to leave.
Russia has unleashed a massive aerial attack across Ukraine overnight. Kyiv's mayor says at least 4 people killed, 20 others injured. ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy.
Russia's losing around 1,200 casualties per day trying to take what amounts to very insignificant territory right now. So they're trying to change this, right? And they're trying to essentially mobilize 125,000 troops on the border to come in and try to take Sumy and Kharkiv. So they're trying to turn this around because right now this is not going their way.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.1106 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Joined in studio by a couple of my pals. I got Bo and I got Gabe in here. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Just in case nobody's ever heard of you guys, which I'm sure that they have because you guys have been on a bunch, and you know you're all over the internet. What do you do?
We make funny videos. No, we make good, informative content, educative content, exposing the left.
Yeah, I would say that Bo is right-wing political commentator, man on the street,
I
comedian.
wouldn't say commentator. I need to do more commentation, which is
this is what we're working on. Yeah, it's a work in progress.
He's a questioner.
Which is why I enjoy going on this show so much, because I finally get to commentate.
Let's go.
But online, it's just opinion, or not even opinions. I just expose the left.
Yeah, a lot of times you let the crazy speak for itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to do it a lot of the times. Because, like, when you're trying to, like, just string for, like, an answer from them, it's not good. But Bo just lets them talk, and a lot of the times it just comes out nuts.
And you guys are on your Pride Month world tour all over the country.
Country tour.
I like world tour.
It sounds better.
It sounds better. So you're on the world tour, and last week you were in Los Angeles for the Dyke March, and I talked about this a couple times. Because I was still very surprised that you're allowed to say that word now.
Yeah.
And then when you're downtown here in Nashville, you'll see like the banners on the street poles where it'll have like the Titans players. And I saw at the Dyke March they had those banners that said Dyke March on the street poles. I was like, wow, okay. So the word's okay to use now.
It's kind of like the N-word almost. Like, I know that's like a very forbidden word, but no, but not in that sense. But like some of the stuff, So some of the stuff that the dykes were saying or the lesbians were saying, right, is, oh well, this is like we're like taking back the word, right? Like we're taking back the power of the word, and the LGBTQ trying to compare themselves to the plight of the African American is kind of crazy in my opinion. But I think that, that's what they're trying to do. They want to like make themselves feel as victimized as black people in America used to be.
They want to make it the new civil rights movement.
Yeah.
For the record, for the people that aren't watching, Gabe is black, so he can talk about it. I just don't want your viewers to think.
I'm racially ambiguous. That's what we say.
Anyways,
so you're there at the march, in Los Angeles, and how do you guys get through it?
It was one of the more nasty ones for sure. You could tell you were in California, and going to this parade really opened my eyes, and it just makes me mad at the people that are saying Pride Month is okay online, because a lot of the people that they're just trying to be inclusive and trying to be open to the people, they probably have the right intentions, but I would be willing to bet they've never been to one. And so what I want to start doing is telling the people, if you want to hold the opinion that Pride is okay and Pride Month is great, go to one. Yeah. Because it is not what you think it is.
Well, and you could do that with so many conversations on the left. Like anybody that's pro-abortion, you'd be like, have you ever seen a video of what they do during an abortion? And 10 times out of 10 they'll say, well, no.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, watch the video and then tell me that you're still for this. Yeah. And I think the same can be said by a lot of these Pride festivals. It's like, oh, it sounds great. It sounds great until you see a grown man in a dog mask being whipped with his bare bottom in front of 5 and 6 year olds. And then you're like, this isn't really what I signed up for.
There's this country music singer that I follow on TikTok. He's not big. No one will probably know who he is. So his name is irrelevant. But I like one of his songs coming out. And he made a video and he was like, Pride Month is okay, and he was like mocking people that are like, what about straight month? And he was like, you guys don't understand what it's like, let them have a month. And he's just trying to appeal to the left-wing people. And I commented on his video, and I was like, if you want to hold that opinion, go for it, but you need to go to a parade, because it's not loving one another. It's literal sex in the street in front of children. And if you're okay with that, then you yourself are just a pedophile.
I don't think that I've ever been more scarred going to like a pride parade. Like the amount of buttholes I saw, the amount of like women who were like completely topless, like obese that I saw, the amount of almost like penises that I saw was crazy. And I mean, there was one moment me and Bo were walking just to go grab water at like a different place, and there was two men who did not know each other, and within 30 seconds, we're like just making out on the street. And we both looked at each other and we were like, what the hell? Like, what just happened? It's
like that
degenerate.
escalated quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then 2 minutes later, one of those two dudes was with another dude.
Yeah. Like
holding his hand walking down the street.
And look, they want to pretend like it's just, it's like we're just like straight people. But we're just like men or whatever. But the numbers do not say that. The numbers say the quite opposite. The amount of like STI transmission, the amount of average sexual partners in a lifetime. If you look at San Francisco, it's like an insane number. It's something like 900 average.
What?
Yeah, sexual partners, because they all have these like crazy orgies and whatever, right? So, like obviously those numbers are a bit more tame throughout the entire country, but San Francisco is like the hub, and we'll actually be there. In 2 weeks?
Final week of June.
Yeah.
Final week of June.
Like 2.5 weeks, roughly.
And the last time you guys were in San Francisco,
We've never been.
Oh, you've never been?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last year in San Francisco, though, was the Pride Festival where there was videos coming out where
they were peeing on each other
and,
feces.
and drinking pee and stuff.
Yeah, Savannah Hernandez, Taylor Hanson, they both got those, and they were incredible, like, to expose the stuff going on. And I almost felt like we got a little bit of taste of that in L.A. Not the taste of the feces.
It's probably a poor choice of words.
The taste of.
That's what we're gonna when we package this for YouTube. I'm gonna say we got a taste of Pride Month. That's gonna be the teaser on the front of the video.
Yeah.
And all right. So next week, this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, this afternoon. So after this, we're gonna go out to lunch, and then you guys are flying to the airport to go to
Flying
DC.
to the airport.
Yeah.
We're taking a private jet.
Taking a private jet to go to the airport. You guys are high rolling. What do you expect in DC?
Honestly, I have no clue. That's such a good question.
Because they're labeling it as worldwide Pride.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be a whole month in DC. Like, I think it technically already started, right?
Oh yeah, it's been going. But I have a friend who lives in DC, and I told him I was going to be there, and he said he hasn't saw anything.
Really?
So who knows? Maybe World Pride was a big blunder, but according to online or the internet, it says there's going to be 1 million people there.
Yeah, that's what. So the way we found out about World DC Pride is because it's marketed at every single Pride event that we have been to ever since last October. So
Really?
We were in Georgia, we were in Atlanta, which was, in my opinion, one of the biggest Pride events we've been to. I think it was even bigger than LA last weekend. It wasn't as crazy or degenerate.
And how many people would you say was in LA last weekend?
Like
3,000.
No, I'd say a little more. I would say 5,000 if you like combine the Dyke March and the Pride Parade like all in one. Because it was like almost 24 hours. Like, I swear, people were getting there at like 7 a.m. and they wouldn't leave until like 4 a.m. or something. Because they would,
crazy.
It's like the gay bars. It's like the gay street or whatever. So, and then the next day, same thing. Like, people were there super early, leaving super late.
So if they're expecting 1 million people in DC for World Pride, what number is a victory? Because I feel like 1 million is going to be...
That's
1 million is going to be hard. I think that the hands-off protest, that was the biggest thing that surprised me, was that probably had
big.
a couple 100,000.
What was the hands-off protest?
The one that Elon retweeted, that I was saying how they all left at one time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the last time you guys were in DC.
Yeah.
So, all right. So if they get 100,000 people, do you think they claim a victory here, or do you think that that's a fail? If they get 5,000 people, is it like saying that the movement of the Rainbow Mafia is in decline? Because if they've been promoting it for almost over a year, you know what I mean? Do you get do you get like my logic? Like, is there a certain number where you go, wow, this shows us a real decline in the number of attendees, like the movement, or is there a number where you go, wow, the movement here is just as strong as it's been?
Well, to my knowledge, this is the first year they've done it. So there really isn't a threshold on it's declining or it's going up. So to me, a victory would be probably 100,000 people, but it's hard to count the amount of people, and you can easily inflate those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there's half of that, you could still say that the other half, they were coming at different times, walking in and out.
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy to inflate numbers.
And where are they doing this in DC?
Great question.
Dude,
I'll have to look.
I'm assuming it's just like near the Washington Memorial. It's the biggest open space that you don't need to like rent out, you know. So.
near the Washington Monument.
Yeah, basically. I mean, like, that's where most of the stuff is, right? Unless it's like a march, which if it's like a march, then whatever that square is that we're always at, I swear it's always the same place. I forget the name though.
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that with Trump in office, more people would want to come out because they think
it's
that
like a
they're
resistance.
It's like a resistance kind of thing. Because like the left almost by definition is like reactionary, right, to us, right, to conservatives, and conservatives like to be reactionary to them at some points in times, but we are like the quote unquote objective normal. So like their movements are always going to be reactionary to ours. And I think that when we have like someone like Donald Trump in office, they are going to act more. But if their numbers are this bad on a year where they should be higher, then it really is a testament to how poor their movement is going.
Well, and I think it could be some foreshadowing towards midterms too, if it's real low. How are you guys feeling when it comes to midterms coming up? Do you feel like conservatives are gaining ground, losing ground? Where do you guys see it? You guys are habitually online, like I am. So where do you see the conversation going?
You want to go first with this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the darker thought on this one. The Elon Trump beef, I think, is gonna hurt a lot.
Really?
I've saw a lot more people online taking Elon's side than I thought.
See, my theory on the Elon beef with that is like, by the grace of God, it happened now, where it's June on an off year, and we're what, 6 months away from it really kicking up, 12 months away from it really heating up and getting real. So like, we're going to be far away from it at that point, and everybody has short memories.
This is true. But I definitely think that it's going to hurt a lot. You can't win a campaign without a lot of money. And Elon, give credit where credit is due, single-handedly funded, in my opinion, a good majority of the Trump campaign. We're going to need someone like that to also help in the midterms and then 2028. So we're going to have to figure a lot out. And I don't know, from looking online, a lot of people don't seem too pleased with what Trump's done so far or with what he's not done yet.
Yeah. I think that I hold the opposite opinion of Bo. I think that we're doing great, and I think that we're going to be doing better then. I think that money flows in and out of politics all the time. Like, Elon didn't always exist. He also always wasn't a political person. We've won an election without him. That kid that took a shot at Donald Trump's head probably helped Trump win the election more than Elon Musk did, in my opinion. I think that, him surviving an assassination attempt single-handedly won him the election. I mean, Elon became a supporter of his after that happened, right?
And I think I think you could also make the argument that RFK was a bigger boon for the Trump campaign than Elon Musk.
All the moderates.
You don't think so? Really?
No.
I think the way he brought in the Maha movement and the crunchy granola moms was clutch.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think we win without that.
I mean, yeah, it was vital, but the amount of money that went in through Elon Musk to Donald Trump, I think far exceeds any type of Robert Kennedy movement.
See, I think the only state that you could really be like, okay, that's an Elon victory would be Pennsylvania. Albeit a very, very important state, but when we won 7 out of 7 of the swing states, I think that we could have lost Pennsylvania and still won the election.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Or we could have, or we would have, even without Pennsylvania.
I think we would have won without Elon, period. Like, you could argue that, like, Elon changing how X works, like how Twitter works, maybe got us talking a bit more about things. But I genuinely believe that we would have won that election, like, easy without Elon Musk. And I mean, that's not to diss Elon Musk. I think that he's still great. I think that he's done great stuff.
And I said earlier today, in my opener on the show, it's like, I'm grateful for what he did during the election, and I'm grateful for what he did on social media, and none of that is ever going to change. Like, the contributions he made can't be changed, and they were huge. But I think RFK's endorsement was more than Elon's money.
I don't want people to think I'm pro-Elon. I'm actually probably one of the more anti-Elon on this panel here. I'm not an Elon fan at all. Ever since he came in, I'm, like you said, I'm grateful for what he did, but I think it was with selfish interest. And like I said at the beginning of the show, Elon's too autistic for his own good. I think that he's really on a power crave, and he wants to become essentially the most powerful man in the world. And in order to do so, he has to have presidential backing. And so, yeah, I think a lot of the beef is because he's not getting what he wants.
Yeah. I mean, like, I could agree partially with that. I don't know if he wants to be the most powerful man in the world, but I think he definitely wants to be the most remembered man in history.
I would go as far as to say I think he wants to take over the world.
Really?
I think we should all be very scared of
Nah, I think he'd rather take over Mars.
There was a lot of people who were, especially when he first came on, the Neuralink, the Antichrist stuff. Everybody was going wild. Don't trust Elon Musk. Is that kind of where a lot of your antitrust of Elon comes from? Is it the Neuralink? Is it the AI?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. But just look at his track record and the stuff that he's done. And I mean, X, like he said, I'm very grateful for what he did to X. But in a way, he had to do that to start winning people over. So I think a lot of it's strategic to essentially get more and more power.
I don't know if he needed to do that to win people over. He was loved by the left for like the longest time, which is arguably like a better base to have because with electric cars, so he makes the sexiest electric car in the market, period, right? And he was like a very very socially liberal type back in the day. I don't think he had to do anything to like make people likable. I mean, if anything, he could have said, screw Joe Biden, I don't like him, and then let Trump win this year. I mean, Elon's still young, and then like in 4 years, prop up someone to beat JD Vance. Like he could have done that. I don't think that he needed to hop on the Trump bandwagon. I don't think that he has any time frame that's like super stringent to be able to get his goals accomplished. So,
well, he tweeted out yesterday a tweet, and it said, it's time to create a new political party.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And to me, that goes hand in hand with what I'm trying to say. He wants to take over and have power. So he's going so far as to basically say he's wanting to fund his own new political party.
When I saw the tweet, my first thought was a new political party already was created for that 80%, and that's the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
It still goes by the name the Republican Party, but it bears no resemblance to the Republican Party, of the George Bush days. Not even 50, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's completely changed. I think that we have that new party now.
Yeah.
I don't see Elon
he's just
being able
going
to get
for
that off the
power.
ground.
And the way he's doing it is so wrong because he's already becoming one of the most disliked men in America. The left protested Elon Musk more than they protested Donald Trump for the first few months of the Trump term.
Administration.
And now the right's going after him, or at least the smart right. So he really doesn't have a base.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he does.
I mean, he does. Don't get me wrong, because a lot of people are taking his side on Twitter, but not enough to create a political party.
I'm with you there. I think, he has some support. I think to get that support into a political party, that's tough because if you have 25% support in the country, right, and then you spread that out across 50 states, good luck.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you.
Exactly. I mean, I look, I'm a Trump loyalist. This might sound really biased, but even if I was like pro Elon, he is not gaining any like hardcore Trump supporters to like start voting for him. Like, let's say he tries to run in like a primary.
He can't.
Oh, well, yeah, because he's not like, whatever. But let's say he props someone up, right, to like run against JD Vance, which I don't think he would, by the way. I think JD Vance would probably get his support regardless. But let's say he tried to prop up someone to run against JD Vance in 2028. I don't think they swap over. I mean, if Trump gives JD that endorsement, like it's over. It's over for whoever else, right?
Yeah.
Like Trump's endorsement matters more than any PAC money. Like no PAC money can buy that.
Barring a catastrophe, I don't think that there's anything that the Democrats can put up that could beat a JD Vance Marco Rubio ticket.
No, I agree.
I just don't.
Vance is too good, and like the young people like him because he's just so.
And he understands the American story. You had a mother dealing with addiction that so many of us are. It's a story we're all so familiar with. You went and you fought in an endless war, which so many of us are familiar with that story, having friends or serving it themselves. And JD gets it in a way that no politician in my lifetime has.
Yeah.
and he's young. I'm with you. I don't think anybody's gonna.
No, yeah. I mean, look, my favorite clip of JD Vance is, not to get onto a little tangent, but he's giving a speech to like a room just full of like random like Republican moms or whatever, and he's like, the biggest failure that Republicans have committed in the our entire lifetime of our party is we say the Democrats are in government and they have too much power and they're doing bad things with the power. And then the second that we get power, we try to throw it away. We try to give it away. We try to put it in the trash. We try to say, no, we're not using this power. We're just, using authoritarian government power is just as bad as the left, even though they're trying to cut little kids' balls off and we're trying to save everyone from that, so.
I love the way you put it. It's 11:27, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, we got a crash over on the East Loop going westbound. The left 3 lanes are blocked by this one. That's going to back things up. It's right there at Jefferson Street. Stop and go traffic now starting there at the 40 split. And in Madison, still got that intersection work at Tennessee 45 between MacArthur Drive and Archwood Drive. And in Murfreesboro, they're still working on fixing some power poles that were brought down during a crash. That's going to be Northwest Broad Street between Stockard Street and Medical Center Parkway. Very heavy rain right now in parts of Middle Tennessee. The heaviest just to the northeast of Nashville. Gallatin getting hammered by some of that. That's from a line that stretches from Portland all the way to the south at Lebanon. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, the Trump administration is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to allow the Education Department to carry out broad layoffs that have been blocked by a federal judge. And the new jobs report shows American employers added 139,000 jobs in May, slightly better than expected despite uncertainty over the trade war.
The job market is gradually slowing down, so that 139,000 jobs added beats the 125,000 we expected, and the unemployment rate holding steady at 4.2%, still near a half-century low. But have to point out that April and March numbers were revised lower by a combined 95,000, so the job market was a little weaker than we first thought in the winter and early spring.
Alexis Christoforous reporting. Veterans in their 90s and older gathering today in Normandy, France, marking 81 years since the D-Day invasion.
It wasn't as big a celebration as last year, but the 81st anniversary of D-Day, probably the most pivotal moment of World War II, was still special. There were parachute jumps, flyovers, remembrance ceremonies, parades, and historical reenactments on the beach. And at the center of it all were the veterans, an ever-dwindling number of them, many of them just teenagers on D-Day. Harold Terrence, a 101-year-old veteran, saying, "Freedom is everything. I think war is disgusting." Sherry Preston, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It's June. The temperatures are getting high, and they're going to stay there for a while. And if you haven't gotten your AC service the right way, the Busy Bee way, you're going to be spending a little bit of extra money because your system's not running at maximum peak efficiency. You can fix that today by calling Busy Bee and getting it serviced. And this summer, they're turning up the heat with a bunch of good deals. If you need a new AC unit, do it in June and buy it from Busy Bee because you'll be entered to win a free 3-day beach giveaway. That's right. You buy that AC unit, and they'll handle the vacation. Gas, lodging, 2 meals a day, all on Busy Bee. They'll announce the winner on Facebook. Plus, they have a bunch more deals to keep you cool all summer long. Free package upgrade on air duct cleaning, $500 off select tankless or upright water heaters, 15% off whole home drain reed pipes, $99, just $99 for a whole full drain video inspection. And don't forget, the Beehive Club, you can now get 2 years for the price of one. Just $99 covers you for this year and next. For satisfaction guaranteed, it's always Busy Bee HVAC. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com. It's 11:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We still got Bo and Gabe in studio. You guys, you're in for a special treat.
I'm so excited.
You should. This is really groundbreaking stuff that we're doing here. This new segment's called the Lightning Round.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So this is what we do every day this time. It's the lightning round. So I run through all the stories that we didn't have a chance to get to. And you guys are welcome to call with your last minute hot takes, anything that we've talked about during the day or anything we haven't talked about. Weigh in with your last minute hot take, 30 seconds or less, 615-737-9986. You guys ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. You don't get scared at these storms?
No, not really.
A lot of lightning.
I wish it rained more in Tennessee.
A lot of lightning during the lightning round. Somebody said to me that was thunder. And I said, it's lightning.
It's definitely lightning.
It's definitely lightning.
I don't know, technically.
just play along.
It's lightning.
All right. First story in the lightning round. President Trump took a call with Xi Jinping. They were on the phone, and they have now confirmed that President Trump will be visiting China. What do you guys think about that?
Lots of big memes coming.
Lots of big memes. China.
Big fan. I think that.
Big fan of China?
No.
China?
Big fan of Trump going to China.
Gabe is a huge fan of China.
China?
Sure. You know what? Honestly.
Is it the social credit scores that you're a fan of? We know that you're the pro-Elon guy.
No. I'm a fan of Trump going to China, but, if I were to be a fan of China, I guess they do okay.
They do okay.
I don't know. They're doing better than some very impoverished countries, I guess.
I think it's all relative.
Yeah.
Do you think that they clean up sections of China the way they clean up sections of San Francisco for Xi Jinping?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You think they'll scurry away the homeless?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there are going to be homeless wherever Trump would be, right?
No.
It's not like he's walking the streets of China.
That would be awesome if he would, though.
Yeah. Do you think he has to turn over his biometrics before he goes into China?
China?
No.
We have to, right? Like, if you were to go to China, you have to turn over, all of your biometric data, even down to your gait, which is, the way you walk.
So a passport's not enough?
Not enough.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
They might even ask you to bend over and cough. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I'd want to do that. I think I'm good with staying out of China.
Would neither of you would visit?
No.
I don't want to leave the country.
Bo's getting married soon. Would you honeymoon in Beijing?
We're actually honeymooning at the Bahamas.
Oh, all right. So that's already planned.
Bo's scared of leaving the country in general. I probably don't know if I'd want to go to China. I'd go to Japan or something.
I would do Japan.
Yeah, Japan sounds cool.
100%. All right, moving on. This is the lightning round. That's when you hit the lightning. There it is. All right. Karine Jean-Pierre, you heard that she has a new book out.
She's switching parties.
She's now an independent. Did you know that?
Yes.
She's an independent, and she was taken by surprise like everybody else.
All I have to say is it's a little late, Karen.
Yeah.
It's a little late. You could have done that a few months ago.
This is Scott Jennings on CNN reacting to Karine Jean-Pierre's new book.
I have a different view. I'd like to congratulate Democrats for ridding yourselves of this untalented mediocrity. I mean, this is the most self-aggrandizing liar that has ever held this job. The White House press secretary is a sacred position, and she stood up there for years and lied through her teeth to the American people.
My friend,
and
she's not the first.
She is the literal worst White House press secretary in my lifetime. And what she did in the last year and a half of the Biden administration, cheap fakes, the entire cover-up around the president's mental faculties, she was in the center of it.
So you think she's doing this to launder herself?
Congratulations for getting rid of this, but Democrats deserve everything they're getting here for putting her in that job in the first place.
That's Scott Jennings. Now, I will say that she is the best female black lesbian press secretary we've ever had.
Is she lesbian?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
very lesbian. Very. You didn't. She would go to the podium and be like, "I am wicked lesbian."
No way.
She did. She did a couple times.
I gotta look that up.
So, Bo and Gabe in studio. Tell me why you think Scott Jennings is wrong and Karine Jean-Pierre is awesome.
I will say this. I will say this. I think she was great for the liberals.
Okay.
I think she did a great job. If the roles were reversed, I would say she did a great job. But, from us, people that disagree with everything she's saying, of course, she was horrible. So, yeah, I mean.
I think she still did a good job with who she was given as president.
Yeah. You think that means a lot.
Yeah,
we have to weigh that into it.
Shiny metal ass. Let's say she had like JFK. Like, she probably would have been fine and nobody would care. Nobody would be like, oh, she's the worst press secretary, right? Yeah. If the person in office, like, she just got all the bullets shot at her first, right? But, I think the best part about her is that she's so black and so lesbian. That's my favorite.
It's definitely one of her strengths. We are in the middle of the lightning round. Wait for it. Wait for it. The lightning round. Yeah, there it is. We got Bo and Gabe in studio. Did you hear Steve Bannon, his take on Elon Musk and Donald Trump? He said this on the War Room yesterday. He said that the U.S. government should take over SpaceX and deport Elon Musk.
President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight. The U.S. government should seize it. If a guy's going to sit there and start making quotes, also, as Stuart Stevens talked back in January, I don't know why we haven't had a full investigation. Look, if you're going to deport illegal aliens, you got to deport illegal aliens. The good go with the good, the goose and the gander.
Deport Elon Musk and nationalize SpaceX. That's his take. Jack Posobiec was sitting next to him during that segment on the War Room. He was on the show earlier today, and he's like, I wouldn't go that far. That's what he said. Do we take SpaceX from Elon and do we deport him?
No, I don't think so. I mean, look, I think it's something. There is something to be said where Steve Bannon and Trump have had disagreements, and Steve Bannon is still siding with Trump on this. But no, I don't think that we should deport Elon.
I would say.
Where do we deport him? Would it be South Africa or would it be Canada?
South Africa. Yeah.
I would just say stay consistent. If you're going to have the possession of deporting Elon Musk, you should have said that a few weeks ago before the big beautiful beef started. Don't say it now.
Yep. All right. We're in the middle of the lightning round. There it is. More lightning, please. We just all the lightning. We need one that's like just multiple lightnings. And I told my producers that I need a lightning tally.
Okay.
I need them to count how many lightning strikes. Yeah. We need that.
Screen.
We need that. All right, listen to this story. Well, actually, before we get to the next story in the lightning round, we have a caller that wants to weigh in the lightning round. Chili is on Center Hill Lake. What's up, Chili? What do you want to talk about here in the lightning round?
How you doing, sir? Actually, well, first of all, you guys have a great show. Enjoy listening to your show, and I agree a lot, and sometimes I disagree, but I love the way you guys debate when you disagree with somebody, and if the rest of the world could do that way, I think it'd be a lot better place.
Well, Chili, man, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you joining us during the lightning round.
Yeah, hey, man. Hey, tell him to double pump that lightning, and it'll sound even better when he first hits it, like double pump like I.
Yeah, I know. We're working on it.
I love hearing you pick at them. But anyway, I've got a question for you on this illegal immigration. I'd like to hear your guys' input. That if I'm just totally being too hard, hey, I'm willing to take that and see if I am. But our government is to blame for the majority of the illegal immigrants coming in. I think everybody agrees. But I think us U.S. citizens have a lot to play in that too, because when they come here, we give them jobs.
Yep.
We rent houses to them. We sell them cars. And if we weren't doing that, if you don't feed, I'm not calling these people dogs, but if you feed the stray dog, he comes back. So if there was no reason for that dog to come in your yard or that person to cross, there was nothing here for them, we wouldn't even need a wall. So I honestly feel, I get my feelings hurt seeing people with Donald Trump stickers, conservative. You don't have to be for Trump. Just be for what's common sense right.
Yeah.
If you riding around with a Trump sticker, I put it to the test up here on Center Hill Lake. I cruised around. I'm building a house up here on the lake, and I've seen some construction workers coming in and out of the bank, and I was like, I bet you they're getting payroll to go pay their guys. So I followed a truck. I'm not going to name nobody's business or anything, and there was not an American on that site. He was out there paying them cash, and he's got a Trump sticker, got the Tennessee tilt on his truck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think there's a definition for that.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
In the dictionary, you go vote one way and you live another way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And listen, the contractors are definitely guilty of this. And then they get around it because they'll be like, well, we contract out to a company, and then this company is the one that's hiring the illegal aliens. It's not me. But yeah, we all know what's going on. We all know what's going on. I don't think you're being too cold at all, Chili. I think we have to demagnetize the United States. And I appreciate you calling in during the lightning round. So it's the lightning round. He's on the phone. Louis, he's working. Whoa. There we go, Gabe. I will say this. Rep. Brandon Gill introduced a bill that is going to aim to close those legal loopholes that give employers financial incentives to hire illegal aliens over American citizens, called the New IDEA Act. He's got a lot of people backing it. Boebert, Troy Nehls, just to name a few. It would make data sharing required between the IRS, the DHS, and the Social Security Administration, so that way they can identify and remove illegal aliens from the workforce. In addition, the bill would strengthen and permanently authorize E-Verify, which gives employers legal protection when relying on its results, and allowing job offers to be contingent on final verification. That's per a press release from Gill's office. That's the bill he's introducing. We all know that bills aren't making it to Donald Trump's desk right now. I think it's like a total of 8 bills have made it to his desk. So pipe dream for now, but maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel for that. This is the lightning round. Lightning. Yeah. Do you guys have anything you want to share during the lightning round?
I thought Chili.
Yeah, Chili.
I thought he brought up a really good point, and more people should take note and listen to that, and stick true to your morals, your values. If you're going to be voting one way, make sure you're consistent in everyday life. So I think that's a really good point.
Amen. We got one more time for one more call here on the lightning round. John in the borough, you're on Super Talk during the lightning round. What's up, John?
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to comment on what the guy before the last one, I think.
Yep.
Was saying something about we should blame the places for hiring them.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Biden administration implemented a law that you could not discriminate against them hiring them to work. So they were pretty much they had no choice but to hire them.
I'm not sure of the accuracy of that, but it's definitely something I'll look into, John, and I appreciate you bringing it up, man. It's something I'll definitely dig into here over the weekend. Thank you for the call. Thank you for joining us on the lightning round. Thank you, Bo and Gabe, for being here on the lightning round as well. Where can we keep up with you guys? We know that you got a busy weekend. You're going to D.C. You got World Pride. Where can we find y'all exposing the left?
Keep up with us all weekend on Twitter at DiddleTV, and we'll have the full videos on YouTube at Bo Diddle. Sorry, Ada.
There's a YouTube video coming out today on Bo Diddle. There's a YouTube video coming out Monday on Bo Diddle from LA. There's going to be at minimum 3 videos a week on the channel from all the Pride throughout all of June. And then the first week of July, I probably have a couple of videos. And the second week of July, I want to take a little break.
All right.
That's not going to happen.
No, yeah, we're going to be at SAS.
Man, we appreciate you guys coming in here, as always. Appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for stopping by. It's 11:51, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. 11:57, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Bo and Gabe are still in studio. Normally this time we check in with Chad, but I think it was actually my fault. I think Chad probably saw that I had company, and so he didn't want to come in. It's very polite.
I totally thought that we were saying goodbye because you were like, "Oh, where can we find it?" them.
Yeah.
So I thought this was like a.
And then we sat in here and we just kept shooting the crap, and then Chad never came in, and I'm sad now.
Oh well, I mean, have we met Chad?
Yeah, you met Chad. He was at the Tesla protest.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think we met, or I didn't meet him. You did.
Yeah, Chad's a great guy.
Yeah, Chad's great. We love Chad.
We love Chad. So yeah, I don't know. You tell him that you met Chad. Yeah, so Chad's not in here right now, but he's got a bunch of good stuff on the way for the show. This weekend, Bo and Gabe are going to be at Worldwide Pride.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Worldwide Pride?
It's not, but we'll go with it.
And so that's going to be happening in D.C. We're going to be paying attention to the socials for your coverage at Diddle TV. I'm going to sit on my hands all weekend. I cannot wait. I'm going to disconnect.
Best thing to do.
The pool's open in the neighborhood. I'm going to go hang out with the kids.
Wait, that means I got to just blow your phone up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you guys should.
Now we're just going to text you everything.
Don't text me the pictures. You can text me descriptions. I'll read them later.
You need to be very thankful I didn't send you some of the pictures
Dude.
from Hollywood. Like, I never mind. I'll tell you off.
There's one. I'm going to have to blur the whole screen on the YouTube video base.
Really? It's that bad?
It's that bad.
Do you ever get nervous having those pictures in your phone?
I do.
You got a fiance. What if she starts going through the camera roll?
Bro. I don't know.
My wife said to me the other day, she's like, if you were anybody else, I'd be really nervous about what's in your search browser history.
Yeah.
She
tells me that all the time.
My thing is this past week, my search browser was missing zebra, gay pride events, Epstein. It's just
Dyke March.
Yeah, Dyke March. It's like.
You should see Bo's camera roll from last Friday. I mean, you don't want to see it.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to see it.
He walked into one of those gay adult stores.
Oh.
For context here. It was on an open street with the doors open with children around. And so I was like, this is good for Frontlines. And let's just say it was too good for Frontlines to where they couldn't even post it.
That'll be on your YouTube channel.
It's not going anywhere.
No,
it's not going anywhere.
That is not going anywhere. It can't. It's straight up. The
sounds
only
like,
place.
Sounds like we need to send it to the FBI.
Yeah.
It would go on an X-rated website. That's
Oh, all right. Jeez. Well,
that's how bad it was.
Looking forward to seeing that off the air then, guys.
I don't think you are.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock. Have a great weekend. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Twelve o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got some areas of heavy rain in the neighborhood, and our neighborhood is all of Middle.